But the Lord would come to Joseph in a dream. And we read that next. But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. Now it comes down to trust. Do you trust the Lord, Joseph? Now there have been many before him. We read in Deuteronomy about people who had heard his word and had thrown it away and disobeyed him. All the way back to Adam, who heard the instructions of God and disobeyed him, to Moses, who had many occasions heard the instruction of God and got angry at the people and did things that prevented him from going into the promised land, all the way to Jonah. When Jonah heard the will of God and ran away and got swallowed up by the whale. Just because God sends an angel to proclaim his will doesn't mean you have to follow it. But Joseph trusted God. And whatever he needed to swallow, he did, and he stayed with Mary. Kind of an interesting father to begin this way, but a great one to have. So in this act, Joseph became a father, and he chose to be with Mary. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded him and took Mary home as his wife. But he had no union with her until she gave birth to a son. And he gave him the name Jesus. Not only did God trust the Lord and his will and stayed with Mary, but he also did what the angel commanded. He obeyed. And he didn't just, I'll take her and leave her and ignore her. He became a father to this son. Joseph took Mary to his ancestral home to be registered, Bethlehem, where he was at Jesus' birth. And I got to tell you, that's a pretty modern event to have husbands near the wife and they have the children. Sort of the thing to do now, and who knows, that may fade in and out over the years. But just as recently as a couple decades ago, the husband wasn't allowed in their delivery room. For many reasons. He was with Jesus and Mary at the birth. He shared in his naming. He was there at the circumcision and the dedication of Jesus. So he was there throughout that process with them. Later on, when it became dangerous, he was directed through dreams to take his family to Egypt until it was safe to return in Nazareth. So, not only do we have this trusting father, but we have one who is being obedient. But where the fence comes in, really comes in, is what do you do with Jesus? Think of being a father of Jesus Christ, Emmanuel. Sure, I'm there at the infancy and seeing all these things happen, following through, being beside the woman I love, doing these things, but would he be a father to him? What would that look like? There have been many times, especially at the birth of my children, where I realized this really wasn't of my doing. They are incredible miracles, though they test me sometimes. They are something else. And very quickly you realize that these children are not just of me. They are of the Father. They were knit in the mother's womb by God. Though I am called their father and my wife is called their mother, they are very much in God's hands. And there's very much I can do for them. I find myself behind the fence more than not in their life. I try and coach them. I try and be there for them, but they will go off to college. They will get their car. They will do many things, and I will be watching them through the fence mostly. They are God's children. And I thank God every day that I'm allowed to be in their life for just a little while. And they will go off and do many things that will be miracles, and I can't believe they actually were able to do that. And I will see them in me. I will see me in them. Hopefully they'll hold their hair a little longer than I did. And I'll see them do things that I did. Hopefully not everything I did. But they will be their own. And they will call me Father. But I know that I am pretty much behind the fence for them, cheering them on, supporting them, but I cannot go where they go. Joseph had to experience the same thing. It is the Father who is the true Father of these children, of all of us. But we read on and see that not only do we have this trusting and obedient Father, trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. But we also see a great man of character, a good father who did love Jesus. Later on we find in Luke chapter 2, 41 through 48, when the family he's much older now, able to speak and have thought and read, and they're going from one place to another. And they used to travel in big family units, and so the kids would all run around, kind of like a big family event. You don't keep track of your kid 24 hours a day in those big family things. And so on the way back home, they noticed that Jesus wasn't part of the pack of the kids. He actually stayed in Jerusalem and was debating theology with the greatest minds of his time, this 10, 11-year-old. And they got worried. It says in Luke that not only was Mary distressed, but Joseph went through great anxiety and fear and worry for Jesus. And they looked for him, as we would today if we lost a child, in a frenzy, trying to find out when they got there, what are you doing? We were worried. So Joseph did care. Joseph did grow with Jesus and love him. We know that for sure because he became a carpenter as his father. And so he was there coaching and teaching and passing on to his son, but knowing all the while that he had another father. For us today, that is no different. Yes, we have our earthly fathers, whether they were there for us or not. Whether they were great fathers or poor fathers is no matter, because we have the Father on our side. Jesus spoke of this many times and trained and taught the people of his age and us today that we are to address God as Father, Abba, because we are his children. What made Joseph so unique even further, even more than trusting and obeying and being a man of character and raising with love this child, is a lesson we can all take away today. He followed the Lord even though it seemed absolutely foolish. Even though what was being done seemed impossible, he followed, trusted, and obeyed God. Paul brings it home to us today and explains how we all are as Joseph. We are all the children who get to see the mysteries and the impossibilities throughout our life through Jesus' revelation. 1 Corinthians 1:18. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate. Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age?